Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans Review. Do Celtic fans need a reality check? One player is asking that we should look at it this morning as we go into training. The Celtic defender says we'll look at it rather than with raw emotion that we all did at the weekend. We'll look at it in a calm way and we'll dissect what went wrong at the weekend. With supporters calling for the board to be sacked at the weekend, people pointing out Michael Nicholson, Peter Lawwell for criticism over the lack of funds that are made available last year. But when you think about it, we did spend about £15 million, but we brought in 9 players that we didn't really need to be brought in, to be honest. We all knew at the beginning of the season we needed a left back, we needed a striker, and we needed a goalkeeper. It was simple as that, Celtic. Obviously, when we lost Jota, we would go into the market then and get a direct replacement. Something that Celtic didn't really do. They went out and spent £3 million on Lewis Palmer. But is he good enough? Well, only time will tell. Cameron Carter-Vickers understands the feeling amongst the supporters, and we have to remember this. It's the first domestic win at home for nearly 3 years. The first domestic win at home was the chance of sack the board. And I know it doesn't come down to one game. We know it doesn't come down to one game. We know that it is the way that we've been playing this season. Is this fallout from Ange Postecoglou era? Because let's face it, we kind of crawled to the league last season. We crawled over the finish line. Even though we won it with about 5-6 games to go, we did crawl over the line. Ange Postecoglou brought in some of these players that were squad players and we got beat. Let's face it. So the defender went on to say, you've got to try and take the emotion out of it. Big Cameron Carter-Vickers. He said, look at football. You try to analyse the game and then we try to improve. The emotion is understandable for the fans when you lose a game. How the players feel after it is how the fans feel as well. There's no point looking at the game in an emotional state. You've got to look at it clear-headed and try and stay as calm as possible and then try to improve, says Cameron Carter-Vickers. We weren't good enough. It's as simple as that. We conceded 2 sloppy goals, which is something we need to look at in training and try and improve on. We should probably have created more and also finish the chances that we had to try and get ourselves back in the game. Ultimately, it wasn't good enough, says Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now, the big news that we all missed at the weekend, we've all been asking, where is James McCarthy? James McCarthy turned out for the B team. Yep, he turned out to the B team and they lost to East Kilbride on Saturday. And James McCarthy, who was brought in for Ange Postecoglou's team, is one of Ange's first signings back in 2021 after being released from Crystal Palace. Should have known he was never good enough then. And the Republic of Ireland International was expected to play a key part under Ange, but he didn't. His game time was limited. Even last season, he only played something like 22 minutes. He was hooked. Off the pitch. He was hooked off the pitch for the B team. And that's all you need to know. It lasted 54 minutes. 54 minutes for a B team game. Why is that guy even still at Celtic? Anyway, Chris Sutton has rejected the verdict that the league is done and dusted, that Celtic are a club in crisis. And they're not a club in crisis. They've lost one home game, the first home game in the league. We should really take that into consideration. A lot of people will say, Baz, come on, it's the way that we've been playing. It's the way that we've been playing for weeks now, for absolute weeks. The players that were brought in haven't been good enough. They haven't been what we expected. And we all knew this at the start of the season. We knew it was going to be a harder season. And then people will say, but, these are the same players that played last season. Almost the exact same team played against Ross County last year. And we got a winner in the 97th minute when we went on to then win the league. Chris Sutton has denied any fears that he has that the club is in crisis following the 2-0 loss at home to Hearts, reminding fans up and down the country that Celtic remain top of the league. We do remain top of the league, but obviously, that's whatever happens will happen. Like Brendan Rodgers says with Lagerbielke, whatever happens in January will happen. It'll take care of itself. To finish bottom of the Champions League, to be at the Vidplay Cup in August is unacceptable as far as Celtic fans are concerned. Is there a sense of entitlement? I'm seeing that getting banded a lot about the Celtic fans. How is there a sense of entitlement with modern day fans? Let's face it, we've had continued success for many, many years now, apart from 2020 when we had a bad season due to not any fans in the ground. the way that's going, there's not going to be much fans left in the ground if they keep on banning fans the way that Celtic seem to be doing. Sutton has obviously banished fears that Celtic are under the cosh. In crisis, he said, "Nah, they're still top of the league." Was it a bad performance on the day? Yes. We all want a better league. I've been talking about it on here, talking about it on this channel. We do want teams to come and have a go. But at the same time, you're wanting Celtic to play their A game. You're wanting Celtic to play their A game. You do want the league to be better. Yes, we do. And we can't complain about it. Well, we can't. We can complain when Celtic don't play well. I think when you have teams that sit back for 90 minutes, that should now be banished. That should now be banished, and hopefully more teams will have a go at Celtic, and Celtic will then up their game. And that's what it takes. It is football. It is a game of 11 men. Surely Brendan Rodgers has to take some responsibility. He's came back this season. Everyone keeps on talking. He's went from Ange Ball to Brendan Ball, and we have to move on from that. We have to move on from that. You can only pee with the willy you've got, as they say. Anyway, one positive note is Joe Mourinho. He's been talking about Brendan, and he called the special two. Is that an omen for the end of this season? Anyway, transfer talk. The goalkeeper that Celtic had targeted, well, allegedly targeted, I don't think they're going to get this guy. There's not a chance. The Real Madrid number 2 goalkeeper, Andre Lunin, he played for Real Madrid at the weekend, and they won 4-1 over Villarreal. The Ukrainian stopper has been in and out of the team. He has said that he's not going to sign a new contract with Real Madrid, and Celtic have been suggesting, well, they haven't, but people outside have been suggesting that Celtic could maybe make a move for him. The 24-year-old has made 25 appearances for Madrid. There's not a chance. When we see the way that Celtic are going just now, it doesn't give me any confidence at all to say that Celtic are going to go for a goalkeeper of his stature. We had a chance to go for a goalkeeper that in the summer, and we didn't want to pay the money for it. For me, and a lot of fans will agree with me, and people have said this on lots of social media channels, when Peter Lawwell walked in the building, Ambition walked out. It's a big transfer window for Celtic. It's a massive one. It's probably the biggest transfer window since Martin O'Neill came into the club. It is that important. I see it that imperative that we start going out and stop this nonsense of buying project players, especially when you buy in a project player like Gustav Lagerbielke, who was Sweden's best stopper of the season, and then it's allegedly we're going to go and sell him, or at least put him out on loan to get him some game time. It's unbelievable. So will Celtic go out and spend that kind of money, the wage-wise? We might get Andre Lunin on a free contract. There's not a chance. I think we should put that one to bed and wait until the transfer window opens in just a few weeks. But before then, we've got a midweek off, which is a bit of a godsend, because let's face it, if Celtic were to play this Wednesday, not many Celtic fans would be looking forward to the game. Not many Celtic fans at all. I think it's good that the team does have that week of reflection. It'll be good that they'll stay out the media, heads down, and just get on with it. Just get on with training on the pitch. Brendan Rodgers has a massive week for him to bring in a couple of young guys who've done fantastically well, if you ask me, against Feyenoord, and then go back to playing that we did at the weekend. There seems to be something going on in the background. People say, has Brendan Rodgers lost the dressing room? No, I don't think he's lost the dressing room. I just think that him now publicly slating players and saying they're not good enough and saying that we have to bring in quality is probably having an adverse effect. It's probably having a little bit of an adverse effect on the players and the players' minds. Anyway, tell me what you think about that in the comments. Do you think that Brendan Rodgers' comments about the players saying that we need to bring in quality, do you think that that's having a direct effect on the players and the way that they're playing? Is it the mindset of the players? You've got to remember, Brendan Rodgers' first time round, he did bring in a mindset coach, if I remember right. He brought in a mindset coach to make sure that the mindset of the players was okay. It seems to be missing this time. Or was it down to the number 2 that he had at the time? Tell me in the comments. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, and any other fans that watch the channel. If you're going to be nice and polite, you'll not get banned. That's that. Anyway, hasta luego.